Oh, man.
Lots of new faces on this list, I see.
There are, man. You see a lot of the little bullet things on the side, the parentheses or whatever. But the top 5 look good because 3 of them didn't even play.
Yeah, that at least made you look good.
Yeah, exactly. So take that.
All right. About to go live here on.
Hey,
That at least made you look good.
Oh,
Turn the volume down.
I guess that means live.
I guess we are live, and that is Zack Poff. I am Steve Montoya. Our weekly Monday ranking show, and a lot of new faces this week in the rankings. I believe, 6 new teams enter the top 25. And Zack, we're going to start this off with a big game that took place in Vegas Friday night. But before we get to that, I want you to leave your comments about, and maybe we're missing a team in the top 25, or you have questions about our rankings. Now's the time to give it to them.
Give it to me, baby.
All right, let's talk about this game, though. Miami Central, right? All the things going on in Florida with the Hurricanes. They come out to Vegas, and they prove they are the real deal.
Yeah, you know, they were playing for a lot more than just a football game. You know, they were playing for not just South Florida, but all of the entire state of Florida. And, you know, they had the perfect formula. Get the rock to number 4, James Cook, 4-star running back, younger brother of Dalvin Cook, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, an 83-yarder and an 87-yarder to the house. This is my guy right here, though. That's the freshman, Amari Daniels. I strongly believe he's the best freshman in all of high school football. He had a big game. He had almost 100 yards. He had an 80-yard touchdown right there. This was pretty much the dagger. Got the interception. Gorman driving, trying to tie the game. So Miami Central, man, they proved they belong in the top 25. They were part of the next 5 group before that game. You roll out to Vegas and you hand Bishop Gorman their 2nd consecutive loss. It's actually the first time since 2006 Bishop Gorman's lost 2 games in a row. I ended up keeping Gorman in, though, because I believe that win against DeMatha's big time, and the 2 losses they have was to the number 1 team, Mater Dei, and then Miami Central at number 15. So those aren't bad losses.
No, and you're looking at the rankings now. And people do give us those comments. How do you have a team in the top 25 nationally if they have a loss? And Bishop Gorman has 2 losses, but those are against other top 25 teams.
They play number 11 De La Salle this week.
Yep.
If they lose this one, they're out.
They're out.
So.
All right, book it. All right, and how about Miami Central? We have reporters looking into kind of their situation right now because they still may be in Vegas and trying to get back to Miami. But big win for those guys, and congratulations on that. All right, let's get to some comments here. Pulling them up on my phone. What about Colorado? No teams from Colorado. You got any love
they're getting there.
Okay.
They're moving their way up, but not as of today.
All right, where's Cesar Chavez?
I don't know where Caesar's at, man.
All right, you don't have them in there, but you should. Larry, what's up, man? Where's East?
You know what? East is working their way back up, but you lose 48-17. I know Bingham's good, but when you lose by 31 points, I don't know if you kind of belong back in the top 25, but hey, there's a long way to go. They're going to have a chance to prove they belong. They have a game with IMG lined up later in the year, and I strongly believe they're going to get a rematch with Bingham in the 6A playoffs. So,
all right, Bishop Gorman. Since Bishop Gorman lost, St. Mary's, Burn Catholic.
Yeah, St. Mary's, that one kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Is Mater Dei's strength of schedule going to look a little less tough?
Hey, Steve, what league do they play in?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the rankings. You also got another team in from Southern California that we'll talk about a little bit at number 25.
And then you look at the team at number 6. They moved up a couple. They got a big win against Chaminade. That's St. John Bosco. They're in the Trinity League with Mater Dei. So far this year, the Trinity League has lost 1 game, and that 1 game was an overtime loss to number 3 St. Thomas Aquinas, and that was St. John Bosco's opener. Orange Lutheran's looking really good. J. Sarah's looking really good. So trust me, strength of schedule won't be an issue for the Mater Dei Monarchs.
Yeah, and people kind of give you a hard time for giving California too much love, but
they're
there's
good.
A lot of good football there. In
I strongly believe California and Florida are the 2 best right now, and Texas not far behind, obviously.
All right, Judson, Lake Travis on another level out in Texas. That's another team, Judson, that is a new team this week.
They rolled, and we'll show the highlights of that Lake Travis game here in a little bit. But anytime you beat Lake Travis 65-45, you're going to catch attention.
Good. All right, Corey says, love that you keep Katy in the rankings even though they haven't played yet.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, they got a game against the Woodlands this weekend. The Woodlands beat them last year, actually, so This is going to be a big game for Katy. They're excited. You know, they've been ready to play football for the last couple of weeks, but there's bigger things going on in that area. So.
All right, and then finally, before we get back to some highlights here, James wants to know how the rankings are composed. Now, we do have 3 sets of rankings. We have our MaxPreps computer rankings. We have our Xcellent 25 that Zach creates, and then we also have our composite rankings, which takes a bunch of the national polls around the nation and puts them all together and spits out the top 25. And what do you look for most when looking at the rankings?
Well, obviously I look at, you know, what you did last year is more important when you have the majority of that team coming back. Right. So that's a big factor. Obviously top recruits and top players, because I believe if you have a lot of good players on your team, you're probably going to have a better chance to be a good player. I also looked at strength of schedule. If you're getting big wins and you're playing tough competition, I look at that as that's a team that's very confident. They believe that they can play with the best of them. But really what it comes down to is the head coach, who's coming back from last year's team, and just the camaraderie you have as a football team too. So.
Yeah, and that's why the rankings over time changes a lot, because some of the teams you may not know about are new faces on team. By the time it's game 5, game 6, they come on your radar.
Exactly.
And that's why they're getting into the rankings versus early in the season. All right, speaking of new teams, number 17, St. John's.
Yeah.
They're coming into the rankings. Why do you like them so much?
Yeah, you know, a couple weeks ago against De La Salle, they had that game. They blew a second half double-digit lead. And they impressed me more than anybody this past weekend because they beat a very good St. Joseph regional team from Jersey, 45-27. Now that showed me a lot as a team, because a lot of teams that go in and lose a game that they felt they should have won, like they did against De La Salle, they forget about it, come back strong the next week. St. Joseph Regional is one of the best teams in all of high school football, probably top 30, top 40. So this team's loaded with talent too. You got Kevin Doyle at quarterback, Keelan Robinson, one of the best playmakers in the country. He's a running back, but he can do it at wide receiver. Loaded on defense. Now, we were going to get a good test with St. John's this weekend. They were supposed to play IMG Academy. The game's canceled because obviously Hurricane Irma is going on, and you know there's a lot more important things to worry about than football right now. They got to worry about the community and make sure they're can recover from this tragedy going on. But St. John's very impressive team, and you beat St. Joseph Regional like that. That's a statement win, and it was a tough week for Jersey, man.
Yeah,
Bergen Catholic
it really was.
Lost to Archbishop Wood, and St. Joseph's Prep, Philly Power, they took down St. Peter's Prep, and then that loss right there for St. Joseph Regional. So it was tough for Jersey,
yeah, it was.
And it was good for the city of Philly.
All right, let's get back to some comments. If Miami Central beats IMG, how far could
I gotta put them in the top 5 or at least close, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, right now you have IMG at number 2.
Yeah.
So an IMG probably not playing again this week, as we heard.
Yeah, that game's
Miami
already
Central,
been canceled. Yeah.
You can see them right now at number 15. And they knock off number 2 and Bishop Gorman.
And where they play at in their the league, it's tough, man. You got Miami Northwestern, and then you also got Carroll City in there too. So those are 2 more quality wins on the table for Miami Central. And
that's why as the season goes on, the rankings just become more clear as you get into the postseason and beyond.
Yeah.
All right, what's up with the Canton-McKinley Bulldogs? Shout out to them. Camas High School in Washington, Stroudsburg. What do you think about DeSoto this year?
Hey, first week it was kind of tough on defense against Dallas Jesuit. E.J. Smith had a big game. He had 4 touchdowns in the second half. Defense came back strong the next week, and they beat a very good Denton Geyer team 41-13. And, when it comes to talent, I don't think there's a more talented team in all of Texas than DeSoto. The Allen Eagles are right there, too, along with Judson and Katy. But, DeSoto, man, they're loaded. This might be the deepest team they have. They lost a lot of guys, including Sean Robinson, but they're loaded on offense and defense. And defense stepped up last week. It was good to see if you're an Eagles fan.
All right, Mater Dei getting some love on here.
42-0 last week.
What do you think about them this week and just coming up? You think Mater Dei rolls for a while?
I do believe they will beat Bergen Catholic. I think Bergen Catholic might have been overlooking Archbishop Wood a little bit because they knew they had this West Coast trip coming up against the number 1 team in the country. So I think Bergen's going to be hungry because they're coming off that loss. But I look at Mater Dei, I don't see a weakness. I mean, great quarterback. Probably, top 3 offensive line in high school football. Best at the skill position set. And their defense has been lights out, led by Solomon Tuliaupapu. So They're good.
The fact that you can nail that so good.
I hope I nailed it.
Yeah. All right, what about Oklahoma Jinx, Tulsa Union?
That was a great game.
Yeah, it was.
Jinx 0-3, not a hot start, but Tulsa Union's a part of the next 5 group right now. Okay, They've had 3 good wins this year so far: Broken Arrow, Euless Trinity, and hey, Jinx might be 0-3, but you win that rivalry game. It's a quality win in my opinion.
All right, number 21, a new team from Indianapolis coming in. And
hey, these boys are nice.
That is Ben Davis High School. What makes them a top 25 team?
That cat you're seeing right there, that'd be Reese Taylor. Reminds me of Russell Wilson. Not Russell Wilson of yesterday, but Russell Wilson we're used to seeing. Hey, Reese Taylor, man, this kid's a baller. He's led Ben Davis to a 4-0 record so far this year. And Steve, last week, he had more touchdown passes than incompletions. 4 touchdowns to only 3 incompletions.
That's pretty good, Dan.
Completed 28 of 31 passes. Ben Davis, they're playing great right now. They're winning by an average margin of nearly 40. They got a big game this weekend. It's part of our top 10 games of the week. It'll be a game against Warren Central. And I strongly believe you're going to get a look at the 2 best players in the state. Obviously Reese Taylor for Ben Davis, and then the 2019 wide receiver for Warren Central, David Bell. He's an absolute just stud.
All right, Long Beach Poly, Mission Viejo. I imagine that's going to be a top 10 game of the week.
That will be in there also, too. How cool is this, man? You got Warren G's kid going up against Nate Dogg's alma mater. So that's pretty cool. R.I.P. Nate.
That is. All right, St. Joe's Prep and Philly going to beat Wood on Friday night. Do you agree?
I do agree. That's why I got him at 12. So.
All right. We'll get back to comments here in a minute. Keep them coming. But we talked about this team already, so I want to jump to them. That is Judson out of Texas. They showed they can play, and they enter in at number 22.
Yeah, they're loaded. Starts with the quarterback, Houston commit, Juwan Williams. Against Lake Travis, he rushed for 200-plus yards, threw for nearly 300. He showed he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state. Absolute playmaker. And they're 2-0 this year. They actually beat Lake Travis their opening weekend. But, you put 65 on the board against Lake Travis. You're showing you're right there. The running back, though, I got my eyes on this cat, Sincere McCormick. He's a baller, 2019 recruit. I think the offers are going to start coming for Sincere here pretty quick. He's an absolute playmaker when he gets his hands on the rock. And, Converse Judson, they're really good. They're talented and one of the best teams in all of Texas. So.
All right, Union, South Carolina, getting some love. Any team in Oklahoma, we just mentioned one team's in the next 5.
Yeah, Tulsa Union, man, and it all starts with 4-star Oklahoma State commit wide receiver C.J. Moore. He's one of my favorite players in all high school football. Absolute stud. He had almost 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns in that 59-40 win against Jinx. So.
All right, Southington, Connecticut getting some love.
Okay, UConn.
What about Ohio? Do they have the best football? Where do you think Ohio is right now?
They're right on the cusp of top 5. They might be top 5, It was tough after this week. Pickerington Central had a loss. They were in the top 25 at number 24, so they dropped out. But, St. X, they had to come back against Colerain. That's a rivalry game, so you knew that was going to be close. They answered that with a 50-7 win last week, too. So, St. X, man, they're really good. And, Ohio football, it's always pretty competitive. So
yeah, South Point, South Carolina getting some love. They are number 20 right there. Looks like they have a good game this week against Buford in Georgia.
That's going to be a part of it. I guess I'm giving away all the top 10 games, so that'll be one of them, too.
We don't even have to have a show Friday. All right, and then let's see. Games getting canceled because of hurricane. Yeah, definitely shout out to anybody out there dealing with hurricane. And we saw some photos on social media of some high schools just getting torn
tough,
up.
Man.
So definitely best of love to everybody out there dealing with that right now. Okay, let's go to number 24 here. This team looks like has really turned around their program so much so you got some good facts here about number 24.
Yeah, that's St. Francis Academy. Maryland's proven they got more than just the math. St. Francis Academy, a team out in Baltimore. Now, Steve, you were touching on it. 2 years ago, this team went 2-10, and then they kind of changed the coaching staff. They brought in Gilman's staff and Henry Russell, now the head coach. And since that transition, they've gone 12-2. And their only 2 losses last year came to IMG Academy and Paramus Catholic. So 2, very tough opponents. And highlights against Bishop Sullivan right here. That's what caught my attention. They won by 3 scores against a very talented Bishop Sullivan Catholic team. Shane Lee went over there. He was at St. John's last year. He's one of the best linebackers in the country. This team's loaded with talent. And, I love these turnaround stories, though. You win 2 games one year, and then you've had 2 losses the next year plus. That's pretty impressive stuff, what they're doing out there. And they were supposed to play IMG this weekend, but obviously the game got canceled. So it would have been, a good eye test and to see where St. Francis Academy is. But I felt they still deserved to be in the top 25, especially after that 3-score win against Bishop Sullivan.
For sure. All right. Shout out to Putnam City North out in Oklahoma. Westlake running back, one of the best, going to Wisconsin. Shout out to Denton Ryan Raiders.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Hey,
Houston.
Spencer Sanders, their quarterback.
Yeah.
Stud.
Nice. All right. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. Hands down, some of the best football team. Hoover, anywhere on your radar?
Listen, they were on next 5 group to start the season.
Yeah.
Lost to Grayson. I know that's not a bad loss. So they're still right there on the cusp of being in. But, it was the same thing last year with Hoover. They had a couple losses, won the state title, beat a very good McGill-Tulin team in the state championship, and found themselves in the top 25 at the end of the year. So,
all right, can we pull up the rankings one more time here just to get a peek at this? Somebody wants to see where DeMatha is at. DeMatha is there, right there at number 19.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about, as you can see, number 25, another Southern California team.
Yeah.
On your list.
Yeah, I believe Southern California is the best right now for all high school football, and Mission Viejo is right there. This is a team, they're 3-0 this year. They've won 43 of their last 44 games. That's Warren G's kid. That's the dude we're talking about, Elijah Griffin. I hate saying this. He's a UCLA commit, but hey, he's an absolute baller. He does it on both sides of the field. He's actually going to play corner at the next level, but he's one of the best wide receivers in SoCal too. Another wide receiver they got that's 4-star UW commit, Austin Osborne. They help form one of the best 1-2 punches, and looking forward to this weekend, man. They get a matchup with Long Beach Poly.
That's a good one.
A team I got a lot of flack for having in the rankings, but they shocked some people, well, not me, but other people when they beat Narbonne. Matt Corral, man, this kid's proven he's one of the best quarterbacks in all of high school football. They got another big test this weekend against Mission Viejo, so that's going to be a good one. You got 10 versus 25.
All right, what about Louisiana? Like any teams in Louisiana? I'm sure you'd like a lot, but anyone stand out?
John Curtis was right there. They lost this past weekend to Grayson, a very talented team from Georgia. They would have moved into the rankings, but they lost 22-9. And another team from Louisiana I liked a lot was Evangel Christian Academy, but they lost to Allen. That's a tough team to play in Texas. Sure. So, but there's still some teams I got my eyes on, but those were the 2 I felt that had the best chance to get in the rankings. Yeah. But they lost games they probably should have lost. So.
All right, we're going to close out this segment. Somebody says Bishop Gorman should actually be 0-3, but they did kind of beat DeMatha.
They beat him by 2 scores, so I don't know where he's going with that one. So.
All right, keep an eye on Canton McKinley. They're 3-0.
Will do.
All right, make sure you do that. All right, and Zach, we'll get to some of these comments as well that we may not have gotten to on the show. Hey, it's always fun each and every week because we know top 25 teams are going to go down. That's the beauty of high school football, and that's why we love covering it. That's Zack Poff, our national football editor. I'm Steve Montoya. Thanks for joining us here